So I'd like to call the East Brandywine Township Board of Supervisors meeting to start the meeting. Under no pledge of allegiance in the morning meeting? We don't do that? Okay. All right. Under public comment for agenda items, rules for conduct of public meetings established by Resolution 2001-08. The time allotted to each individual making a comment shall be 3 minutes unless otherwise set by the presiding officer. Additional public comment may be granted at the discretion of the presiding officer at the conclusion of the meeting.
Mr. Vice Chair, if I may,
Yes?
there is an agenda item before you this morning, which is item 5A, which contemplates Mapleview plan changes. When we get to that point on the agenda, it will be my recommendation to the board to table that. The Planning Commission did review a presentation from the developer last night and did make a recommendation to recommend amending the plan to the Board of Supervisors. However, the developer will not be present until your second meeting in June, the 16th, to ask the board to consider acting on that recommendation. And the reason I bring it up at this point in the meeting is because I do see a representative of the HOA present. And so, and this is the point where public can comment on agenda items. So with that, if you would wanted to address the board, it would be my recommendation to return on the 16th to do so. But I wanted to make clear that this would be the time to make a statement if you were inclined.
So he can make one today, too, right?
Well, it's an agenda item.
Right, it's not-
Although
hasn't
I
been tabled
intend,
yet.
yeah. I'm just saying, my recommendation when we get to that will be to
Well,
table
can he
it.
come both times?
Absolutely.
So the choice,
I'm sorry, good morning.
Good
Just
morning.
wanna, understand. I fully agree to table and discuss it on the 16th.
Mhm.
If that's suitable.
you can do it then, you can do it now, or you can do it both times.
I would like to make a comment today, not in order for you guys to make a decision, just to share the feedback from the neighbor. That's it.
Okay. May I ask you to approach the microphone to make your comment? Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Thank you
morning.
for your time. So yes, as mentioned by Mr. Luke, yesterday we had a revision with the Planning Commission and the developer, and we had extensive conversation on that, and I wanted to share some of the feedback that I got after the meeting. So the neighbors, I'm sorry, my name is Tomas Zambrano. I live at 257 Sugar Maple Square in Mapleview. So last night, the Planning Commission ignored all the considerations and claims from the community and decided to recommend in favor of the developers and ignore the taxpayers and voters of this town that had no support from the Planning Commission. And we asked the Board of Supervisors to delay the approval and allow a special session in our community to share our concerns and our proposal. There was no evidence of the delays or an alternative supplier for the plastic needed for the underground stormwater water management system. It was assumed that the postmaster was going to agree with the proposal, did not consider the road commission recommendation of do not approve the parallel parking across the alley because of the consequence of removing snow during winter season, and basically ignored the neighbor request to maintain the original plan. On top of that, we're willing to wait and in order to have the underground system and have the additional parking lots that are basically being proposed to remove. There was no evidence of the delays. There was no evidence of looking for additional suppliers. And it was indicated that it was needed to expedite the approval because of the time frame of phase 3 construction. In fact, phase 2 has not been sold at this time completely, so there's no reason to rush this approval. There's no reason for rushing phase 3. The 21 spaces deleted from the community are not being addressed, basically being removed, and there's no alternative solution to us as a public visitor parking spaces. The parallel parking is not a solution, and in fact, it was indicated yesterday that that was the approved original plans, which us, the persons that bought in Ryan Homes, Ryan Homes did not see that in any of our closing statement. So we understood yesterday that's a conversation for us with Ryan Homes, but at the same time, that's not what we basically agreed to get into. The parallel parking was rejected in the previous session by the road commission regarding the snow removals. Yesterday, they were not present. Their considerations were not taken into account last night, and I think that that's important that we hear them and understand their position about this. There's a complication to the front garage neighbors, which will be impossible, not impossible, but it will be extremely complex for them to get in and out of their driveway, especially during winter seasons, where snow will be accumulated around that, plus the parallel parking will make it so difficult. Unfortunately, the proposal from the Planning Commission yesterday was to have rear cameras on their cars so they can get in and out easier. The impact on the proposing parking will basically implicate that we'll have all the traffic going down the bottom of the street, making this a one-way street and increasing traffic and increasing the hazards to our kids that are basically having this bottom of the street as a place to play in the neighborhood. This neighborhood lacks of spaces for recreation of the kids, and they're basically using the bottom of the street as a safe place for them to play around. If we go with this change, we're basically pushing traffic towards the bottom of the street and increasing risk to our kids. The end units paid a premium of $15,000 to have an extra space around their houses. That extra space around their houses, the grass space, basically was supposed to be cut in half and put 5 parking spaces there. No considerations about those neighbors that paid that premium was made yesterday, so I think that that's important to be taken into account. We also are concerned about the increase in the mosquitoes, frogs, bugs, and not only that, these ponds represent a hazard to kids that they can fall and drown. If we can prevent that by having an underground water management system, why they take the risk to have another one in the neighborhood where any kid can just fall or trip and drown? That's not what we want. There's a lot of kids between the age of 1 and 5 in our neighborhood, and we're concerned that these extra spaces of above ground ponds, it's just going to be an additional hazard for them. Yeah, and basically our request is to definitely ask the supervisors to help us mediate with the developer, because at this moment the planning commission ruled in favor of suggesting the approval, and we basically, the neighbors, the ones that are going to be living there, are going to be left with the issues that are going to be left after this proposal is approved, if it gets approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I took notes. And
Are there any other public comments for agenda items?
This is to segue off of what.
Would you please?
Yes. My name is Antoinette Fabrizio, and I live at 58 Glory Maple Lane in the Mapleview community. It's just again to reiterate what Tomas had said. There's definitely concern. We understand the ramifications as a developer for delaying the community. We understand that it's been delayed because of COVID as well. In the beginning, I was the first buyer into the development that kind of set the wheels in motion to get that development moving again. If there's a delay in product, or at this point they're claiming that there's no end in sight of getting a product that would be able to complete the underground water management system, maybe there's only one manufacturer in the entire United States. I understand that oddly can happen as well. But this is what we were told. As far as I'm concerned, it just seems to be a concern for delay for the developer finishing the development. I was hoping if there was another alternative to see what else could be done. As far as the conservation piece, which is definitely legitimate and valued, especially for me as an individual. Again, this was something that it wasn't a consideration when the developer was deciding to do this. So it's just like, the underwater management system solves the problem for the community. It's a small space in comparison to other development that's going to continue in the area, whether it be residential or commercial, which this is already a plan that was made. This is literally about a delay in some type of plastic tubing. I don't know if other alternatives were explored by the developer with a really desire to compromise of delaying the finishing of the development as opposed to rushing this through based on their timeline. So I do feel all of the concerns with the traffic are valid. Buses come down that area. If it were to be a one-way street, I can understand why that would be valuable, but at the same time, not all buses K-turn. Some buses come down. We'll have the afternoon with kids getting off the bus, families returning from work and so forth, kids already from preschool and earlier elementary school playing in that area. Yeah, there's just concerns across the board. If we could keep it the way it was, would just solve all the problems for all the residents, because it's what we expected and it's what will work for the community, knowing that it's a tight community to begin with, knowing that Spine Street, if you will, which is Glory Maple, is going to present concerns with traffic anyway, just the way it's set up, and with the future plans of the Giant going in, there's going to be another concern for that as well. So we need the parking. We need the parking to be where it is, and maintaining the underground water management system would be ideal under the situation. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, moving on to minutes of previous meetings. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I wasn't here.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from May 19th, 2022 PM session.
I second it. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Item number 3 is authorization to pay bills and approve payroll. Is there a motion to that?
I'll make a motion to authorize to pay the bills and approve.
I'll
payroll.
second it. All those in favor say aye.
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 We move on to reports.
There are none.
And we don't have any really reports at this meeting, right?
Nope.
So now we move to item 5, old business, and as we had been informed by our township manager, I recommend that that be tabled until the June 16th meeting.
Different. Yeah, it is a little different.
Is there a motion to table? You want
I'll make a motion. Are you talking about for new business?
to, tabling number 5,
I'll make a motion to table Maple View's plan changes till the June 16th meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
New business is the provide notice to A.J. Belinsky of contract extension for 2023. Any questions on that?
I did just a brief introduction to the issue. Good morning. We have a contract with A.J. Blazinski to collect curbside recycle, trash, bulk, and on 6 different occasions during the year, yard waste. That contract is 3 years with options to extend into year 4 and into year 5. Pursuant to the portion of the agreement that is reproduced in your packet, number 14, for years 4 and 5, we need to notify the contractor that we want to continue into that year. I am this morning recommending the board authorize staff to send such a letter to keep A.J. Blazinski into 2023. My reasons for doing so are twofold. One, it would be a very bad time to go to bid for this service on the basis of fuel prices. Second, I am satisfied with the service that A.J. Blazinski is providing to residents. And with that, I'd ask for a motion to authorize me to send a letter to continue the service into 2023.
You have anything?
No, I get an occasional call, but no, I'm satisfied with the service.
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract extension into 2023 for A.J. Blazinski.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Oh, I know, I'm too slow. All those in favor
Aye.
signify saying aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7 is the subdivision and zoning applications, which is the 1212 Osborne Road to preserve at Horseshoe Meadows, the final plan approval.
So we got a recommendation for preliminary approval from the PC last time we were here. We still have a few pending items on the Township Engineers, Nate's letter. One is the planning module. They're going to have to do a full-blown planning module because they found nitrate levels, high nitrate levels in one of the abutting wells. So that's an issue we will work through with probably special design and so on and so forth. And then our general permit for NPDS is also pending. We're engaged with an attorney to write the HOA what do you call it? The resolution or,
Articles of,
yes, the articles and declaration, homeowner's declaration. So that is in process. And then Mike is going to be working with the solicitor to pay the fees, sign the agreements and all that. And Nate was actually out to the site to look at that cross culvert that we agreed that whatever it needs, we'll do for that. And I think that is it on the items. So I guess with a resolution that we're going to, meet all the items in the engineer's letter. If we could get an approval for that, that's what we'd be asking for.
I have a question of our solicitor. Is it appropriate to pass a resolution with all those open items, especially the HOA agreement, the NPDES, and,
I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, typically,
I mean, we review all those. I know we review the articles for the HOA, right?
correct, and typically, that's done during the final plan process, so there are conditions, proposed conditions, and it's done by our office and their office, so I don't think it's a problem. And typically, things like the NPDES permit, because it takes so long, and the planning module, those are conditions sometimes to final plan approval. We won't allow the plan to be recorded until all the conditions are
All
resolved.
right, well, that was my next question. What,
If you want to see those before.
how can we stop a plan being recorded if we pass a resolution?
Because you're not going to sign it, so they can't record
Good
it.
answer, okay.
so are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the final plan approval for 1212 Osborne Road?
And you do have a draft resolution that was circulated, so
I did see that.
perhaps the motion would include, subject to the conditions in, I don't know what the number is, the draft resolution of 2022.
I don't see that.
It's right there. Yeah, here, additional conditions. Okay, so I amend my motion to include the conditions attached in the resolution. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
All right. So the motion is for final plan approval, subject to the conditions as outlined. Is it your letter, or?
There's a resolution, maybe you didn't get it, it was
Yeah,
circulated
there's a
yesterday.
letter from inland, but
I mean, I can summarize the conditions if
I
you
thought-
want me
You
to.
want to read it? Why don't you just make a motion with the resolution and
yeah, I thought I saw that resolution.
If it isn't in the packet, I would prefer that Tom read the conditions into
Right.
the record.
Okay, I'll do that. Lisa, do we know what resolution number 8?
It would be
Be
number
number
9.
nine.
Number 9, right. Okay, so
Oh, there
we've
they are.
drafted resolution number 9 of 2022. It has the effect of approving the final plan application for the preserve at Horseshoe Meadows, subject to these conditions. Final plan shall comply with unresolved comments in the Pannoni letter dated March 12, 2022. 2, final plan shall comply with all the conditions of the preliminary plan approval, resolution 3 of 2022. 3, the applicant shall resolve nitrate issues related to the proposed septic systems to the satisfaction of the Chester County Health Department and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection as applicable. 4, the applicant shall obtain all outside agency permits, including but not limited to sewage planning module and NPDES general permit. 5, the proposed open space management plan shall be revised as required by the township and shall be satisfactory to the township in all respects. Septic systems and stormwater management facilities shall be prohibited in the open space. 6, the existing stormwater culvert under Osborne Road shall be repaired or replaced as directed by the township roadmaster. 7, the proposed deeds for the lots shall be submitted to the township for review and approval. 8, all the foregoing conditions shall be complied with to the satisfaction of the board and township by depiction on the final plan and by documentation as applicable prior to recording of the final plan. 9, the homeowner's declaration, open space management plan, stormwater operations and maintenance agreement, and if determined to be necessary, operations and maintenance agreement for septic systems shall be recorded with the final plan. 10, the applicant shall reimburse the township for costs, fees, and expenses in reviewing the preliminary and final plan. And 11, the board confirms the approval of the waivers as set forth in the preliminary plan approval.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? Kyle, Jason?
I have none.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you very
Resolution
much.
passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 8, ordinances and resolutions, and I understand there's a change here.
I can speak to this agenda item. Let me adjust the camera real quickly. There we go. So the board adopted at its May 19th meeting, Resolution 8 of 2022. But there was changes to the conditions from what was prepared in advance of the meeting to what was actually adopted at the meeting. We received a copy of the Resolution 8 of 2022 that reflects those changes, and it is in your packet for signature. But it isn't actually an agenda item. It's not actually a action item for the board. So my apologies for the confusion. This has already been adopted. Is that a fair assessment of what happened?
It is.
Very good. My apologies. I forgot we had already done it.
All right. Thank you. Moving on. Then, is there any public comment on non-agenda items? Are there any notices? I have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, again, apologies for interrupting. At the conclusion of the May 19th meeting, I had clarified that the intent of the executive session to follow that meeting was for personnel purposes. That was correct. But we also discussed pending legal matters, which is in that executive session. So I want to just announce
Yeah, we
for
have
the
to-
record
right.
that we also discussed legal matters.
Okay, so will the minutes reflect that we discussed personnel and legal matters? Pardon me? Anything else?
No, I'm sorry.
No, hey. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Hope you feel better, Kyle.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.